I've seen a lot of talk about a TPOT rejoin lately, and with next episode marking half of the original cast being officially eliminated, I can see it potentially happening quite soon. In this video, I'm going to go over every eliminated contestant and rank them based on how much I think they deserve to rejoin. If you've watched some previous videos of mine, you can probably guess who's going to be number 1. But there are a lot of other eliminated contestants who I want to go over. So without further ado, this is my ranking of every eliminated TPOT contestant based on who deserves to rejoin the least to most. Clock has basically had another chance already, being able to stay on the showgrounds even after being eliminated. It would be unfair to the other characters who haven't had a chance to prove themselves by letting someone who has been able to finish their arc even after being eliminated rejoin. On top of that, there's not really anything I can see Clock doing. His arc with Winter is over, and there's no other characters who I could really see him having any meaningful interaction with. His old friends in Cake and Eggy are gone, and while I do see him maybe being able to do some stuff with the old members of the S, I don't really think it would be that important. While seeing Clock rejoin may be interesting, as he is an interesting competitor, I just think it would be unfair, and I'd rather have a lot of other competitors who haven't had their chance to shine be able to develop more. I've put him in tie last with another character whose story is pretty much ended and has no reason for rejoining. And that person is... I don't see why I need to go in depth about this one. Teardrop received so much screen time in early TPOT. Her story is basically over, and her rejoining would just take away from other more deserving characters who haven't had as much content. I really don't think there's much to add on here, just that there are far more deserving options to rejoin. Coiny has had enough time in the spotlight, so I don't think he really deserves to rejoin. He's received tons of screen time in BFDIA, BFB, and early TPOT, so I really think that it should be going to someone who deserves the screen time better. Him rejoining could also cause some negative problems, such as undoing a lot of Pin's development. And overall, he's had his time to shine, and I really don't see him doing anything substantial if he rejoins. Only positive is getting to see him compete in a merge type scenario, but we'll probably see that in BFDIA soon. Getting into some of the more recent boots, Barfbag has had plenty of opportunities to do interesting stuff, and it still hasn't happened. The whole Liquid controlling her stuff was never really that interesting to me, and I really don't see any conflict or anything interesting they could do with her. A lot of the characters she had interesting interactions with, like Taco and Spongy, went to post-splits, so she was kind of screwed from the beginning in TPOT. It is a surprise she even made it till 13, considering how hated she was at one point. This may be unpopular, but I really don't like the idea of Cloudy rejoining. I get he had quite a cool personality and was eliminated pretty early, but I really don't see what he could do. Balloony is gone, and most of the characters he had interesting interactions with on the S, like Clock and Rocky, are also gone. Only good thing I see him having is his collection, but even that is just a gimmick. I just see him rejoining as being uninteresting and taking away from characters who have potential to become a lot better. He really does just seem like a one-note character to me who has no potential to really do anything impactful in later TPOTs. And now we have the most recent boot, being Gaty. She was charming when she was on the show, and she was a genuine contender to go far at some point, such as after TPOT 2 and 9. But after the team swap, she just kinda lost her relevance. Being Two's friend was growing stale on some people, and she really didn't have much importance outside of that, so it's clear why she went home when she did. What's keeping her from being high was her recent elimination, as I believe it would be more deserving for characters who got out earlier to receive the rejoin. Still, she's an enjoyable presence, and I wouldn't mind seeing her back over some of the lower people on this list. I don't know how controversial this one is, because I've seen a lot of devastation about Eraser's elimination. He's on the same boat as Gaty to me, but has a few differences. Like, he's had a lot more content than Gaty, but I see him offering a bit more than her, so they're on a tied level basically. The problem is, I see his story as being over. He kind of fell off in his writing after Teardrop got eliminated, and if he's not doing his sabotaging stuff and just interacting with Pen, I don't see why he should rejoin over others. Moving on to another pretty recent boot, Belle lasted way longer than I thought she would in TPOT. What I've been realising recently is she's actually quite an entertaining character. They ended up not really doing anything with her, which is a shame, especially with how interesting her string sing could be. I would like to see her back just based on how purely entertaining she is, but I really hope that they would do something with her if she rejoined. My problem against her rejoining is how the writers would handle her, as I feel like she could become a great character based on her string or having some sort of conflict with characters like Basketball and Snowball. She's also a bit of an obscure character, and since she got out recently, I don't see any reason she should rejoin. She is a character that is definitely growing on me though. On to the other Teapot 12 boot, there's Bommy. While I find Belle more entertaining than Bommy probably has more to do, specifically with Pillow. It could be pretty interesting to see some sort of revenge plot he could have with her, which elevates him just over Belle for me. Keeping him this low is the fact that he's had some time to shine in BFDIA. Also that I think that his character got wrapped off pretty well in Teapot 10. As much as I like Fries and BFDIA, I don't see any reason he should rejoin in Teapot, mainly because I don't really see him adding anything now that Puffball's gone too. You could argue that he could be doing something cool with Golf Ball, but that's kind of Donut's job at the moment. He definitely didn't deserve to go so soon, but at the state Teapot's in now, I just see no reason for him to rejoin. We are getting into a lot of the good characters though, so I wouldn't mind Fries rejoining. Just that a lot of the other contenders outshine him. Needle has a similar problem to a lot of the recent boots, except it applies less as she hasn't had pretty much content in Teapot. Unpopular opinion, but I actually preferred her Teapot self to her BFDIA self. She had a nice competitive personality and I liked her interactions with Pin and Pen. Her going out was a massive shock to me, but I'm kinda understanding it more now. At least she has BFDIA, which she's great in and will probably make it really far, and she has had quite a bit of content in Teapot. The main problem is still that she's a recent boot, and I'd prefer letting one of the earlier boots rejoin. If you asked me about a month ago what I thought of the possibility of remote rejoining, I would have said that it was definitely the worst option, but a rejoin from her is starting to grow on me as a concept. I still do think that there are much better options for the rejoin, but she does have the possibility to become a much better character if she becomes more fleshed out. The only problem is the Death Pact thing isn't really much of a deal anymore, so it'd be hard for her to reintegrate into the series after that. I do think as of now she's not the best option and I would be a bit disappointed, but she really could be a good character depending on what the writers do with her. Nayli really is a character I want to see more of. She was great in BFB Priestwood, and even though she had a very limited screen time in Teapot, I still quite enjoyed her. I would have liked for something interesting to happen between her and Bommy, but since he's gone now, I would quite like to see something maybe between her and Taggy or maybe even Book. She's kind of got this mischievous character archetype which I quite like in her. And her interactions with Gelatin and the rest of Team Ice Cube and BFB were proof that she can be a great character. The only thing is, I would maybe prefer to have this in a later season, as I feel like Teapot isn't really right for her at the current moment. Saw as one of the characters like Nayli and Barthbag, who kinda got sidelined quite a bit in Teapot. Her character did become quite annoying due to her 8 gag, but her rejoining would be good because I could see them trying to cure her 8 gag as part of an arc. It would be great for that part of her character to be gone because I think she's quite a sweet and entertaining character when she doesn't have it. It did kind of seem like she was set up to be the first boot of her team. And although she wasn't the best one on her team, there were characters who I think deserved to stay less than her. I don't have too much to say here, except she deserves more screen time and I'd like to have her back. I know this one will be controversial, but I genuinely believe that Rocky deserves another chance. There's a lot more that can be explored with his character, and not just leaving him as probably the most hated character in the series. As a few people have suggested, have an arc where he learns how to talk again, maybe with help from characters like Icy and Bottle. Alternatively, explore his vomit and his infinite matter generator. I know his vomit gag is quite gross for some people, but I think it could make him a much more endearing character. I really don't think he's a one-trick pony like a lot of people say he is, and I believe he could really work, especially in Teapot if given the chance. Nickel is one of my favorite funny characters in the series. He's quite nonsensical, but his funniness actually fits into Teapot, unlike a character like Grassy. Unlike with Bommy, I actually think that him having a revenge arc with someone like Pillow would be really interesting. He had great friendships with characters like Cake, Book, and Bommy. I do genuinely think him having something with Pillow and also Book would really fit into Teapot and would make his rejoin worthwhile. What's preventing him from being higher is his high amounts of content in BFDIA, and also I don't see him doing too much outside of his Pillow arc. While I think Lightning served his purpose well in Teapot, I would love to see him have more content. He had by far the best elimination of any Teapot contestant, and I think it wrapped his character up nicely, although there still are some good stuff about him rejoining. Seeing him with Fanny again, and seeing how far Death Pact has come because of her, would be great to see. And I feel like with Pencil debuting, he could do something with her due to how she treated him on Iance. His awkward personality and always trying to fit in with his teams led to some great content, and I think that he definitely fits the feel of Teapot. It would also really be great to see some more screen time from him due to the limited amount of that. Even if a lot of the characters that made Eggy interesting, like Foldy, Clock, and Teardrop are gone, I still do think that she deserves a second chance. She had some great dynamics on the strongest team on Earth with characters like Snowball and Basketball, and to see her interact with them again would be great. And even if she doesn't interact with these characters, especially Basketball due to her risk of elimination, there are still some interesting things she could do, such as having something with Winner, who said that they thought she was interesting. There's not much to say about Eggy that hasn't already been said by a certain someone that I know all of you are aware who I'm talking about. And although she wouldn't be one of my personal choices for the rejoin, I can see why she deserves it. There was a lot of shock when Puffball got out, and it was understandable based on how big an impact she had on early Teapot. It really wasn't her time to go with all the stuff in episodes like Teapot 3 and 4, and her new friendship with Golf Ball. Before that vote war, a lot of people had her in their final 10s and even final 5s in their Teapot predictions, with some thinking she even had a chance to win the whole thing. She really deserves another chance in Teapot due to what entertainment she could bring. Her and the new team's phase would be very interesting with all her teams split up, and I'd hope she could have some more interactions with Golf Ball, and she would be a pretty good fit for Cloud J. What would be even better than her and the new team's phase would be her in the merge phase. Seeing her do all the challenges and what interactions she could have would be absolutely amazing, and it's a shame we likely won't see that in BFDIA or here. She is a popular contender for the rejoin, so it might actually happen. Only time will tell, as her popularity seems to be dropping. This is probably very unpopular, but I do think that Foley deserves another chance as a contestant. She's only gotten 11 minutes of screen time in total, and I really think she deserves more, considering how interesting she is. She was quite bland before Stapy got out, but her revenging with Iance was actually really interesting, and in my opinion didn't make her a bad character. With both the new debuters being Pencil, Match's friend and a member of Iance, and Lai, someone who she's got a rivalry with, I think there could be great dynamics and can actually be a chance to expand her character. I don't think she's as bland and forgettable as people say she is, and if given the chance, it can really work well. While Pi maybe won't bring as much to the show as other potential rejoiners, she still deserves another chance. As one of the funniest characters in the whole show, I could argue, she really didn't deserve first boot. It would be interesting to see what she thinks about the new Death Pact now that Fanny and Black Hole have changed it. She could have some sort of conflict with them about how it's changed and not how it used to be, as she was the one who kind of formed Death Pact to begin with. Even if I don't see her doing as much as characters like Foley and Puffball, she was the first boot and deserves some more screen time in the series. If you've seen some of my previous videos, it should be no surprise that Cake is number 1. He's my favourite character of the series, and I've expressed how much I think he deserves to develop more. His development was cut short, and I would have loved to see him replace someone like Price Tag in the book arc. I won't go too in depth about it because I've got a full video planned out explaining why I want him to rejoin. But if you want to know all my opinions on Cake, I've got a 30-minute analysis about him in my videos, so check that out if you want to.